Welcome to the channel, everybody. My name is Bradley Joyce and you're watching Wild Food Outdoors. About a year ago, at the age of 38, I decided to take up hunting in order to have direct participation in sourcing my own animal protein. I figured if I was going to continue to eat animals, I should go out there and be willing to get it myself. In this video, we're going to be setting up my rifle, the Springfield 2020 Waypoint in .308 Winchester. Spent a lot of time researching rifles before pulling the trigger on this guy, and I've been super happy with it so far. So hope you join me, follow along on this journey. If you're a new hunter, hopefully we can learn together. If you're a more experienced hunter, hopefully you can provide some tips and advice along the way. Thanks again for watching, and let's get to it.
Just saw my first bear.
All right, big day. My rifle has arrived at the FFL location, so heading out there to pick it up now. All right, got the rifle in hand, passed the FBI background check, all that was good. So let's get this baby home and look at it in more detail. That is pretty. All right, well, here it is, the Springfield Armory 2020 Waypoint in .308 Winchester. I went with the carbon fiber wrapped barrel and the non-adjustable stock to save a little weight. .308 Winchester's got the 5-round magazine, and yeah, this thing is light, looks beautiful, and I'm excited to get it set up and get out to the range. So got some other stuff, gun vise, my scope, reticle leveler, some things to help me get set up here. So get to work on this bad boy, setting it up so we can get out to the range. Alright, well, I'm out here at the range finally. I'm gonna be breaking in the barrel, sighting in the rifle, and getting a little practice in. So, yeah, get stuff set up over there. This is a 50-yard range here. So I'm gonna start out here, just do the barrel break-in process. Shoot clean a couple times until there's no more copper fouling. And then we'll put up the target and then sight in the rifle. First group was pretty tight, but I guess that was my second group. It's my first group, second, third, fourth, fifth. Alright everybody, welcome back into present day. Before I wrap up this video, I kind of just wanted to go through the details and specifics on my rifle and how I've built it up. I kind of touched on a couple little bits and pieces in the beginning of the video, but I just want to kind of go through it end to end here for you guys. So there was kind of a lot of reasons why I ended up picking this rifle and this caliber. I did a ton of research, and this rifle was pretty new. It was just coming out when I ended up purchasing it. The initial reviews were extremely good, and it just kind of fit all the bill for me. Now, it's not the cheapest rifle out there. It's also not the most expensive rifle out there, but it's a really good value, I think, for the features that you get for the price that you're paying. It's my understanding that if you kind of piece together all of these components, you probably wouldn't be able to buy it for the price that Springfield is offering it at. So again, this is the Springfield Armory 2020 Waypoint in 308 Winchester. And let's just kind of go through the details, starting up here at the muzzle. So it's got an SA radial muzzle brake. You know, this is typically an accessory that you would have to buy aftermarket. It is threaded and removable, so you can remove the muzzle brake, throw on a can if you want. I actually have one coming. Hopefully it's out of ATF jail soon. I opted to go with the carbon fiber wrapped barrel, and I was sort of debating on this, but I went with it for a couple reasons. One was the additional weight savings, and two was the cooling. The carbon fiber is actually kind of floated in there, so it's not touching over 95% of the barrel length, and that air gap allows for additional cooling. And this is something that I've actually seen in practice shooting the rifle, which is pretty cool. You know, I've been out here shooting with my brother-in-law on the range that we built, and you know, I'll fire off 5, 10, 15, even 20 rounds, and it'll be warm, but I could still touch it without burning my hand. And with his various rifles, he's got, you know, some AR-15s, you know, 6.5 Grendel, some other calibers that we've shot out here, and you know, just after a few rounds, his barrels are super hot, too hot to touch. So that carbon fiber definitely does make a difference there. Kind of moving back here, it does have QD mounts. So there's 2 up here, and I think 3 total, so I think there's 5 total on the rifle. Those QD mounts are really nice for slings and that sort of thing. I haven't been running a sling up to this point, but I'm actually kind of considering adding one, especially for around here at the farm where I did a lot of my deer hunting. You know, I'm not taking typically all of my gear all of the time, and so just having a sling would be nice. We got lots of coyotes and stuff running around here too that we might need to deal with, and so, you know, just being able to come out, throw a sling on, is something I might add here soon. Underneath here, it's got M-lock slots. There's kind of 2 different slots here. On the front, I have my Bino adapter, Spartan Precision Javelin Bipod, I believe is the HuntTac Pro carbon fiber. So their magnetic adapter just ties in there with M-lock very nicely. I actually did used to have a small Arca plate here, which I was planning on using with the tripod setup. Pretty much all the tripods that I have that I use for photography and that sort of thing are all Arca rails. And so I had that plate there, but I just don't like the positioning. I felt it was too far forward and never really gave me the kind of stability that I wanted. I felt like if I could mount the Arca plate back here somewhere, kind of more in the center of gravity of the rifle, that would have been a better placement for it. So I've ended up just taking that Arca plate off and haven't been using it. So the rifle comes with 5-round AICS pattern magazine. It's nice that it's kind of this standard format. So, you know, if you got a bunch of these laying around already, you know, it'll work fine just for the 7.62 by 51 spec. Plastic, so far it's held up really well. I haven't had any issues with any of that. Moving back a little bit, we have a TriggerTech trigger. Trigger Tech is very well respected in the industry. A lot of people love their triggers. I found it to be very good. Obviously, I don't have a ton of experience, other things to compare it to, but it's worked just great for me. I believe this is adjustable 2.5 to 5 pounds of pull weight. I believe it comes from the factory at 3.5 or so, and I've adjusted it down to the minimum 2.5. I've felt that I've liked that lighter trigger, so I've adjusted it to that there. Kind of moving back to the end here real quick, I did go with the non-adjustable comb. They do offer an adjustable comb option, and this is one area where I wish I would have gone with the adjustable comb. I decided not to, just to try to save a little weight, as my kind of overall goal with this rifle build was to try to build a lightweight, mountain hunting rifle. So I tried to save a little weight, but I wish I would have just gone with the adjustable comb. I've added this Bear Products comb riser. It's a neoprene sleeve with some foam in here to raise up this comb a little bit. I found, even though I've mounted my scope basically as low as it can possibly go, I needed a bit higher of a cheek placement to get a good line of sight through the scope. So I've added this. Obviously this is not heavy, but for a couple extra ounces or whatever, I could have just had built-in adjustability, without having to mess with extra stuff. And this thing was kind of a pain too. I had to take off the scope to get this whole thing over. It wouldn't slide on from the back, so that was kind of a pain. But anyway, got it done, and with this, it's been nice. My cheek placement's perfect. Pretty much every time I can just hit the rifle and I'm looking straight down the scope, so that's been great. Now you see the scope's mounted to this Picatinny rail. The 20 MOA Picatinny rail does come with the rifle, so that's really nice. That's not a lot of times that would be an extra accessory that you have to buy. Comes included with the rifle. Now the rifle does have a fluted bolt here, and the action is very nice, very smooth. I've never had any issues with the bolt at all. The feeding has been great pretty much every single time. Never had any issues. You can release the bolt, take it all the way out, all that kind of standard stuff. And again, no issues with any of that. So the stock, it's carbon fiber, hand-laid carbon fiber, custom hand-painted. The camo is kind of neither here nor there for me. I think it looks nice. It's a beautiful looking rifle. This is the evergreen camo. They do make a ridgeline camo, which is a little bit whiter and lighter in color. Evergreen, works for me. It wasn't a make or break on that for this rifle for me. So, with all the carbon fiber and everything, this rifle, as it comes from the factory, weighs in at about 6.9 ounces. So pretty light, which is, kind of what I was going for. I wanted an overall light rifle. I'll throw up on the screen here the current weight as is in this setup, so you guys can have an idea of what the kind of end weight is here with a full magazine, bipod, all the bits and pieces. Moving on to the scope, I went with the Tract Toric Ultra HD 3 to 15 by 50. I ended up going with Tract on the recommendation of my brother-in-law. He's used a lot of their scopes and has been super happy with it. I found the quality to be just absolutely stellar. I've been super happy with the scope. I also went with the BDC reticle. It's non-illuminated, but it does have capped turrets, and man, these turrets function great. They're really solid. They click really nicely, good feedback, so you can just count the clicks instead of having to just look at where you're at. So that's been nice. It does have a zero stop that you can add in here, which I do have. So yeah, great features on the scope. They have more recently come out with an illuminated version, and I think at some point I'll probably upgrade to that. I haven't had any issues with the scope, but I think just the illuminated version would be nice. I've been really impressed again with the quality. It's shot HD glass. These things are manufactured in Japan, and I believe probably, I don't know this for sure, but I'm guessing they're made in a lot of the same factories as some of the higher end brands. But because Tract is a direct consumer model, They don't sell via any retailers. They're able to lower their prices but still provide great quality. So highly recommend you check out Track if you haven't heard of them already. I also have their 10 by 50, I believe it is, binos, which are great. I've noticed, especially first light, last light, I've been really impressed with how clear things are. I actually can see better through the scope than I can with my naked eye, which kind of blows me away. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So I have Warren Maxima rings on here. The rings was a little bit of a saga. Obviously I'm new, trying to figure all this kind of stuff out. So I found some little calculation to tell you like what size rings you would need, and it told me I would need high rings. So that's what I bought initially, and that was just way too tall. I was like having to lift my head way off the comb to see through the scope. So I ended up buying medium rings. That was still too tall, so I ended up here with the low rings. And the low rings are great. They're just barely, the bell of the scope here is just barely above the barrel. Just clears the Picatinny rail and gives me the eye relief and everything that I need. So yeah, went with the low rings. Those have been working out great. I also got a couple other accessories on the scope here. I got the bubble level. This has been great. Obviously allows me to make sure I got the rifle level. It's not canted to one side or to the other. So when I'm shooting properly with both of my eyes open, I can see through the scope with my dominant eye, see the reticle very clearly, my target clearly, but out of my left eye I can still see that bubble level and make sure that I'm dialed there, no problem. I've also added the throw lever here. This was kind of a little bit of a bummer. It's got these raised letters on here. I think it said like tracked, no, I don't know, MK Mark II or something. It's in raised letters here on this plastic, and when it's not zoomed completely in and I try to run the bolt, it binds with that raised lettering. So I've actually ended up sanding it down here on the one side. So when I do have it all the way zoomed in, which is typically where I'm running it, I am able to run the bolt without it binding. So that was just a little bit extra work. I still need to sand off the rest of it so there's no issues all the way through the magnification. But that was a little bit of a bummer. If I had medium rings, it would have been an issue. High rings wouldn't have been an issue, but because I have the scope mounted so low, it's just really close to that bolt handle there. I have these flip-up scope covers. What is this? Tenebrax or something like that. Tactical Tough flip-up scope covers. As you can see, I've lost the one on the back here. I don't know what happened to it. Pin came out or something somewhere here on the farm, I believe. So haven't been able to find that yet. Need to replace it. These are neither here nor there. They've worked fine. They're nothing special. There's a million different kinds out there, but so far it's worked okay for me. So I think lastly here, I did kind of mention the bipod already. It's the Spartan Precision Javelin bipod. I went with this particular one because it's extremely lightweight. It's detachable here very easily, which I like. So I typically just have it hooked to my bino harness detached. That way, as I'm running around or whatever, if I need to shoot off a limb or if I need to shoot off my backpack or something, I don't have some kind of bulky bipod up here that I got to, move out of the way or try to adjust around. I can, whenever I need my bipod, just pop it in, I'm good to go. It's got a decent amount of adjustability here in terms of the height, and then of course it does allow for the cant, so you can get it level there, which is nice. You can also take off these little plastic things on or these little rubber caps, and then you have carbide tips to get you extra traction in rocks or ice or something like that. Yeah, so overall bipod's been great. I've used it in hunting situations, haven't had any issues with it. And again, went with it because of that lightweight. Now on the rear here, you see that I've got this foam pad under the stock here. This is pretty much what I've ended up using as my rear rest in most cases when I've been out hunting. I've found that, you know, this is what I use for my glassing pad. I kind of always have it on my pack, and it's super lightweight, and then because there's a bunch of it, I can roll it up almost to any size that I need. And because it's flexible, I can, you know, squish it to get a little more height. I can like relax it a little bit to, you know, bring it down. And so it's a lot more sort of customizable. I had purchased this Rugged Ridge rear rest, and this is a nice, super lightweight aluminum rest. It's got 4 positions here that you can kind of lock into for the rear, and you know, you set your stock right in there, and it's just super duper solid. So it's great, but I found that it's just slightly more cumbersome to use than rolling up my glassing pad and using that. And then because it's got these 4 positions, like if those don't work exactly for where you need to aim, it's really hard to get that micro adjustment. Whereas like I was saying with the glassing pad, I can just squeeze it a little bit, and you know, and it goes up 1/8 of an inch or 1/16 of an inch or whatever. Whereas this, like, you would kind of have to try to do it in between and then hold it. And yeah, so just from a versatility perspective, I kind of always have ended up going to the glassing pad as my rear rest, and that's worked out great for me. So I think that's about it on the rifle. Like I said, I ended up going with this one because of all the great reviews. They do offer a 3/4 MOA guarantee in accuracy straight out of the box for a 3-round group. And I found that the rifle is more accurate than I am. So, you know, my brother-in-law, he's a pretty experienced shooter. He was just nailing the same hole almost all the time. You know, when I first started shooting, I was a little bit wider, you know, maybe 1.5 inches, couple inch groups on some cases. But as I've gotten more experience, I've been able to tighten those groups up. And, you know, now with a few hundred rounds through this rifle, you know, I'm hitting that 3/4 MOA accuracy no problem on a 3-shot group. So I ended up going with 308 primarily based on the ammo availability. Like I said, I bought this kind of during peak ammo crunch of COVID, and initially I was looking at 6.5 PRC, which this rifle was also offered in, and I was kind of looking at that caliber as sort of, you know, something that would allow me to go out a little bit further once my skills got to that point, but then also had sort of the capabilities to, you know, take down an elk. But at the end of the day, 6.5 PRC ammo just wasn't on the shelves. It wasn't available online. And so I went with the tried and true 308. Ammo has been available throughout the entire crunch, and I haven't had any issues getting ammo for this rifle, which has been really nice. And to be honest, the 308 performance, you know, it's tried and true. Yes, I'm not taking the 800-yard shot at an elk. It just doesn't have enough energy to reach out that far and do it. But you know what? I'm not that great of a shot yet anyway, so it's fine. But basically, with the ballistics offered by the 308, I can take just about any game animal that I'll be hunting here in my early hunting career and be confident with the, you know, with my shots up to the yardage that, you know, 300, 400 yards that I'm comfortable shooting. So for me, 308's been a great choice, and as you can see from the stack of ammo here, I've shot just about every factory ammo through this thing. I got a bunch of it here. You know, I started out kind of with the cheaper Winchester stuff because that was available during the ammo crunch, and then, you know, as I've gone further and further into season, I ended up trying out different rounds. And then when I was really trying to dial in, you know, what was going to be my actual hunting round for the season, I ended up landing on the Nosler trophy grade 165 grain AccuBond. Basically, what I found was it was, you know, for one, a round that shot extremely well out of my rifle, but then also offered the most energy downrange at the, you know, furthest distances that I would be shooting. So that's kind of what led me to select the Nosler.
Most of this stuff shoots really well out of the rifle regardless. Obviously, just like any rifle, some shoots better than others. You'll probably notice that in some of my upcoming videos when we're at the range shooting different stuff and then selecting the ammo for hunting season. I will say this was a little bit of a cool sleeper. This is Igman 147 grain full metal jacket. This stuff is really cheap. I got it for around 15 bucks a box, which is the cheapest ammo that I've purchased. And it shoots really, really well out of this rifle. And so I primarily use that when I'm just doing, target practice, and it's really nice to have a cheap, well shooting round to use for target practice and that sort of thing. Now, I have purchased a bunch of lead-free rounds from Nosler. I believe it's their expansion tip. So I'm going to be kind of trying that out. Going lead-free definitely appeals to me. I'd prefer not to eat little shrapnel of lead from a bullet that's broken apart inside of an animal. I'd prefer not to leave any bits of lead behind from my bullet. So I think I will take a good look at moving to copper bullets here in the future. But for now, like I said, I've been running the Nosler Trophy Grade AccuBond 165 grain and have been super happy with that. So I think that's it for this video. Yeah, hopefully this is helpful in kind of understanding why I went with this rifle and the setup process a little bit and going through all the bits and pieces along with the ammo. Appreciate you guys watching this far in the video. If you've enjoyed this, you want to follow along on the adventure, hit the subscribe button. It really does mean a lot to me. Go check out wildfoodoutdoors.com. Posting a lot of content there as well, along with deals and things that I come across in hunting, outdoor overlanding, camping industry. So check that out as well. In the next video, we're going to be setting up the shooting range here at the farm and starting to practice with this bad boy. Should be fun. We'll see you in the next video. Take it easy, guys.
Dead center. First steal. How does it feel?
Nice. That's freaking awesome.